What is up, everybody? Michael Matalavich here at Casual Relief, and I'm so happy to bring you another joint podcast with Nick Romeo of the Romeo Report. Thank you so much for joining me, Nick.
Oh, of course, Mike. Thanks for having me, my man. What's going on? How's your summer been?
Oh, it's been, dare I say, dandy. As a Met fan, an Islander fan, even a Nick fan, Jet fan, like things are looking up for me. And, there's a seesaw in New York, which is what I want to talk to you about because right now, I'm up top and I'm hanging out.
You're
But
hanging up there, but
on the other side of that seesaw is you guys over in the
me.
Bronx. Anything can happen in the Bronx. What is going on over there, my guy?
Oh, man, I just gotta tell you right now, the Yanks are an absolute train wreck. We can't figure out things hitting the ball and pitching, man. Like if we can't do those two things, why are we even getting on the field? Like we're on the bottom five of offenses this year, scoring an average of 4 runs a game, and like we keep on losing games that we shouldn't lose. Just like Aroldis Chapman blowing it to the Twins in the bottom of the ninth, throwing up 2 home runs like that. Like this team is just I can't even describe to you how angry I am just as a Yankee fan. I guarantee you all other Yankee fans are as mad as I am about this. And I think we have to look at one place, and I think that's Aaron Boone. Brian Cashman has definitely given him the enough talent to produce, but they're just not performing on the field. Am I wrong? Is there something else that I'm missing that could be a problem?
What do you think about the reports from scouts? Now, of course, they don't put their names on it. That the Yankees are the most unathletic team in the MLB. I mean, like when your team is designed to hit home runs and hit home runs only, like how much of it is on the coaching at that point? Like, I mean, Rune Odor is running. He's down 7 runs. He's got a ground ball in front of him at second base, and he's running to third. Like, at some point, that's not the coach. Come on, that's not the coach.
That's also fundamentals too. Like I guess you're not practicing right, or I don't know what it is. I mean, Odor's even a veteran. Oh, excuse my language, but he's got to know his stuff, man. I mean, even DJ's not even performing anymore. We're not calling him the machine this year. Like he's consistent enough, but he's not what he was last couple of years. This team's just a mess, and I think we have to change it up. Even Brian Cashman said, this is the bed that we made, and we got to lay in it. He said that today, came out in a report, and that just tells me that they're not going to support him in this. That's saying we made a mistake. This is our guy, which is going to be here as long as we want him to, but it looks like his time is short.
Yeah. I think the writing's on the wall. I think even though he's a big, like a brother in the family in the industry, and the Yankees are a family and everything like that. I mean, how do you not look at this team and just say there's something missing? I mean, they built it around one thing, hitting home runs. And this team is not hitting home runs. The pitching's coming back down to earth. They are not performing to come on. They are the Yankees. They should be incredible. And I don't see anyone out there that they're going to trade for that's going to magically improve this team. I don't see, unless they shed a lot of cap room, which, I mean, listen, they didn't even play Giancarlo Stanton last night because in left field, because they were worried about him getting injured. They sat him. What is that? How many millions of dollars are you paying him and you can't put him in left field because you're that worried about him?
And he's been another Achilles heel to this team ever since we signed him to that 10-year contract for the ridiculous amount of money that he has. He hasn't performed like he has on Miami. He's not the same. He's always been injured for us. He can never play a full healthy season. Judge is the only one that I could see definitely playing well as long as he stays healthy and we get him a nice contract. But Giancarlo, I don't think was worth it.
So, I mean, what do you do with Aaron Judge, though? I mean, yeah, I agree Giancarlo not worth it. I think that was a huge mistake. And it's been proven. I mean, just he had one good playoff run. And, I mean, they were ready to crown him the king of the Bronx. That just shows how bad that he's done that was all it took. But with Aaron Judge, I mean, he's coming up on a contract soon. Do you even entertain giving him a lot of money? Like, how much is he's played what? Like, he's been injured what it feels like over 50% of the time, it feels like. I just, from the outside looking in, it feels like every time I check the Yankee lineup, he is not in the lineup.
No, he's not. And
how do you give him a lot of money?
I don't think you can at this point. I mean, he's going to do exactly what he's been doing these past, how many years has he been on the team? 4 or 5 years, I think. He's got to, as long as he can show that he's healthy this season and he can actually produce some numbers like feels like there's glimpses that he can, then maybe we give him a nice contract. But I don't think you should be paying him Mike Trout numbers or stuff like that. Like I don't think that's worth Manny Machado, like or uh Padres.
Oh, Fernando Tatis.
Yeah, Fernando Tatis. Like those guys are making the big bucks because they've been healthy, they've been on the field, and they've produced, even though they haven't had any real playoff success. They've done what they had to do. Judge has been in the playoffs, but he hasn't produced in the playoffs. So there's a difference here. As long as he can produce on the field, I think he deserves it. But right now, I don't think he does.
Yeah. So then, do you see a scenario where he does not return to the Yankees, where he's not on the Yankees in a year or two?
I know, like you were saying before, the Yankees are a family, and there's tradition involved with that. We even have the Judge Corner over there out in the stadium. Like, come on, like they got to sign him, but it depends on if he's happy or not. If he's happy, he'll stay. If he's not, then he's gonna go.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. I think it's going to be interesting to see whether he values the culture of the Yankees over what's going to give him. Because I don't think the Yankees are going to offer him the most money. I think the Yankees, I could be wrong, but I think this is going to be the first time the Yankees draw a hard line in the dirt and say, this is how much we're giving you. Take it or leave it. And I think we'll see what happens. I'm very interested to see. I think it's going to be an exciting negotiation. Hopefully, it's that he gets some fireworks and he doesn't sign, in 2 months to an extension.
I agree. I think that's the way it's going to go. But knowing the way the MLB is, they're just looking for guys to keep aboard, and the only way to keep them is to pay them the max. So we'll see what happens in the future. Who knows?
Yeah.
I want to talk about your Mets though. Your Mets are number one in the division with 33 wins, and the Yankees have 33 wins also, and they're 9 games back in the division. Like, can we talk about that? What's
All
going
right.
on here?
All right. I mean, like, listen, while I'm giving you my quick explanation, can you just look up the Yankees winning percentage? Because that'll answer my one question.
Yeah.
It's purely I understand the 33 wins thing. It's a fair point, but look at the amount of games the Mets have played. I mean, they missed what, like 14 games with their first 2 or 3 months.
The amount of numbers. It's like they never even started.
Yeah. So I mean, what you really want to look at is that winning percentage. They're at 569. That's just, guys, the Mets are in first place in June. What is happening right now? They had up to 16 players at once on the IL. They were throwing out a literal AAA team out there. Literally a AAA team. Like, if you go to Syracuse right now and watch that team, it was the same team the Mets were putting on the field pretty much like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I'm not even joking. It's incredible that's what, like, there's just something like we're getting calls all of a sudden. Like, yeah, like I watched the 10 games. So I'm like, well, that wasn't a strike. Like, oh man, like we were definitely out, but they called it safe. Like, it feels we're getting it finally. And like, I don't think I'll throw it back to you for a quick second because I'm not used to being a fan of a good team. Is this what it feels like? Where like you lose a game and it doesn't matter, like you just like go. I was at the Padres game, the Mets Padres game. I don't know what was it, 2 days ago, and they lost. They lost the third game, and even like they're down 7-2, and like in the eighth, and part of me is like, there's still a chance. Like, listen, they can still do it. They've done it before. I am so not used to that. It is throwing me off. Is this what being like a fan of a good team is like? We're just like, it's all good.
Yeah, when your team's that good and your team looks like they can come back from anything, that's when you know that you got something special going on with your team, man. Like, I remember that was the same way it was for the Yankees, especially back in 09 when we had all those walk-off hits and home runs. Like, that was the year that we won it all. That was amazing. But like, just to have that feeling in, like, again, just like it was for your Knicks, now for your Mets, like, that's just an amazing feeling to have, because if you lose one game, you're always going to make it up again. It's not like you're never going to win again later this season. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's felt like in the past that every Met season hinges on every game. We're like, we lose one game, like, oh, that's it. It was a slide. It's over. We're in trouble. And it's like, now it's like, all right, Baltimore beat us 10-3. all right, well, tomorrow we're gonna hit 14 home runs. Like, don't worry, we'll bounce back. Like,
That's pretty bad if Baltimore's beating you like that. I mean, that's pretty bad, but I'm just saying.
listen,
It's gonna
a
be
day
bad.
game after traveling from the West Coast to the Padres, I'll
No.
excuse it. They came out the next game, they scored like 9 and they won 9-2. So, and then listen, like when you split the first series, like let's be honest, they didn't play many winning teams because the NL East is beating up on each other right now. They're just beating each other up.
Mhm.
But their first test was these Padres. They go to the Padres, lose the first two, then they win the next two to split this series, which I didn't think they had a chance in hell of doing. And they did the third game in convincing fashion, hitting home runs and just outright beating them. Then they come back to New York, play them in a 3-game series, beat them handily in the first 2 games, and then ran out of pitching in the third game. And let's be honest, if Jay's Familia, if anybody else comes into that game because he's clearly tired, I mean, they got 2 outs and they were down by 1 going in the 7th.
And then
Like,
there's a good shot you guys are sweeping that series.
this was their first real test, and they just aced it in my book. I didn't think they could do any better than what they did. They took the Padres. They showed them that they were nothing special. That pitching rotation that was supposed to be so dirty, what looked very vulnerable. And honestly, if I face them in the playoffs, I'm feeling really good about the Mets' chances in a 7-game series against the Padres. And I didn't think I'd be saying that right now on the 15th of June. Like,
Oh yeah. I mean, you can definitely be confident when you got Jacob DeGrom on the mound, man. He is lights out for you guys, and I'm surprised the Yankees haven't picked him up.
they need to sign that man. They need to get him whatever he wants. If he wants Citi Field to be renamed the GOAT Stadium, do it. I do not care.
Anything he wants.
I don't remember who sent the tweet. I saw it the other day. It was awesome when he came out with right flexor tendonitis, which I think is a finger issue. Somebody on Twitter tweeted out, I don't know what a right flexor is, but Jacob DeGrom can have mine. I think that's a sentiment for every Met fan out there. He will give them his kidney. I will do this whatever this man wants. Literally 100 years. It's been over 100 years. Nobody since 1912 has been able to do what he's done through 10 games. He's got a 0.59 now ERA. That's better than Juan Marichal was through his first 10 starts when he was pitching like 0.72, and that was record breaking. I might have a stroke. I can't get the words out. Watching this man pitch is something that I've never seen before. Every pitch looks the same. I mean, his motion is from just a mechanic standpoint is pitch perfection. Every single pitch is perfection. Nothing changes pitch to pitch. I mean, like the man is throwing 102 miles an hour and then can locate it consistently.
And I saw something amazing, like an amazing stat that he has hit in 5 runs, but he's given up 4 pitching all season. Like that is mind blowing to me that he can put in more runs than he's ever given up this whole season. Like,
and I'm so happy for him because he's getting wins this season, which is the big difference. In the past, I mean, let's be honest, like Trevor Bauer didn't have better numbers than him last year, but he had more wins.
So and that was because of his offense, where the Mets offense wasn't anywhere to be found last.
Exactly. So now Jacob DeGrom is finally getting the wins. Plus, let's be honest, Marcus Stroman and Taijuan Walker are both top 10 right now in ERA. And no other team has 3 qualified pitchers in the top 25. The Mets are the only team with 3 people in the top 25, and they have 3 people in the top 10. These guys are pitching out of their minds. So Jacob DeGrom gets extra credit because all eyes are on the Mets now with all this energy, and he's living up to the hype, pitching better than he's ever done before. And yes, you can all come crushing down with 1 bad inning, give up 4 home runs. I understand. And listen, I'm enjoying the ride as long as it lasts. But what I've seen from this guy for the past ever since that game where Terry Collins, there's a video on YouTube, you can find it, but Terry Collins takes him out after he gave up 4 or 5 runs in like 3 innings. And like Jacob DeGrom's crying, and you can see Terry Collins talking to him. And ever since that game, his ERA has been sub 3. And it's just like I don't understand how we're seeing history, right? We are literally seeing history. We are seeing the greatest pitcher who has ever walked this planet. Like I used to think Tom Seaver, Nolan Ryan, like these were people that could not be reached. I stop what I'm doing on Jacob DeGrom Day and make sure I watch the Mets. Like it is a celebration of baseball, and I think every fan should appreciate it and should watch because it is something that you will never see again. It is history in the making.
Yeah, if you're a baseball fan and you don't like Jacob deGrom, I don't know what you're thinking.
You're not a baseball fan then.
This guy's a stud, and you got to appreciate game where it is, and he's got it.
Man, I could go on all day about Jacob deGrom because the more you look into what he's doing, the crazier it becomes. It's just the more you look into the numbers and the more you look into how rare the numbers are, the more baffling they become. So we have to cut it here because otherwise we're never going to move on.
Yeah.
And my last point about the Mets is that when this team, it's something that I think we've said about the Yankees for years, and it's always been the Yankees label, and the Mets have kind of taken it over this year. But man, when this team gets healthy, they're going to be really scary.
Yeah.
And I think the Mets have taken over that mantra this year because they are missing a whole lot of players right now. I mean, where's Brandon Nimmo been? He could be dead in a ditch. I have not heard from him in over a month. JD Davis has had 4 or 5 rehab assignments that have been cut short. He's the new Jed Lowry, as much as it pains me to say that. Jeff McNeil is supposed to be on his way back like this weekend. Who knows? Mike Conforto was seen running some bases, so that's good. At least somebody's seen him. But it's like if we get like 3 of these players back,
if you get your playmakers plus your pitching, I think your team is set to win the pennant this year. That's just me.
I agree with you, and I think Edwin Diaz has stepped up. And what they say the last 2 years, if they just had a closer who could save 75% of the games, this team would be in the playoffs. And man, what has he done? He's gone out there and given up 0 home runs, like 2 earned runs, striking out the world. He struck out the heart. Was it Bryant Rizzo and Baez last night against the Cubs to end the game? I mean, the bullpen has finally picked it up. We're starting pitching well. We have Francisco Lindor is finally heating up. Thank the Lord for that.
Thank God that wasn't a bust contract there.
Oh man, I'm so happy he's finally hitting. James McCann makes the White Sox look terrible because their guy is hitting like sub 200 right now? He's dog water.
Yeah,
absolute dog water. And James McCann is just continuing to heat up, looking spry as ever. This is a team that like everyone is performing really well right now, and they're just finding ways to win. And it's very exciting time. It's just a really exciting time.
It's an exciting time for you, and it's not an exciting time for me, but I digress. Let's hit football for a little bit though.
We're a little bit on a more even playing field there. I see.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some question marks here and there for both our teams, but I mean, I got some optimism going into the season. I don't know about you.
I have some I honestly have no idea how to feel, and I will get to why. But I want to hear about your optimism because I'm curious. I don't know if I have the same optimism about the Giants, and I don't know if that's because I'm just a cynic.
See, with me, I have the optimism that we're going to win the division. And I know like that's what every fan base says. They're going to do it. But I believe they can just because of how bad our division is. We were 1 game away from winning the division with 6 wins last year, all because Philly decided not to play in the 4th quarter. And then we take over Washington's spot. Like, look at the reasons why we're going to win. It's not mainly just what we have on our team. It's what's going on in the division. Dallas and Dak Prescott, like that. Dak Prescott left last season due to a gruesome injury, and Zeke was exposed for not being able to perform when Dak's not there. If those two can't perform with one of the worst defenses in the league that never helped them out last season, that Dallas is never going anywhere. Philly has a new head coach and a quarterback that hasn't proven themselves yet. I can't say anything about them. They're a question mark, and their defense is average as well. And Washington might be the only team that will ever give us trouble just because they have Fitzmagic, who is a veteran, with some decent receivers, and Terry McLaurin, some other guys here and there. But with an elite defense like that, they can win any game. But the Giants just really replenished that whole team on the defensive side and the offensive side of the ball. That's me.
But here's my point then, is that like if the division is so bad, is just winning the division good enough then? Like, don't you want to go farther? And then don't you look at this team's roster and just say, like, man, even if we get in the playoffs, like, we're going to have trouble.
Oh no, I'm just as a Giants fan, I know I'm crazy to think that we can ever beat like Tampa Bay or the Chiefs. I just want to be excited for my New York Giants again and not just excited for my fantasy team.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I'd rather be happy that Saquon Barkley's beating me again in my chip because he's fighting for a playoff spot. Like I'd rather that happen than me be like, oh God, thank God Evan Ingram dropped that touchdown pass against me. Like that's my
Yeah.
mentality right now.
So
Like I'm
so
not a real Giants fan. As like that's what I'm thinking.
so let's say the Giants win the division. They don't end up with a great draft pick or anything like that. What are the like what do you see as the next step for the Giants? Like, where do they need to improve in order to get to that next step? So now that they're comfortably winning the division, and now they're looking towards the playoffs and who they're going to play. Like, what is the next in the next few years? What do you guys need to attack in order to be a playoff contender?
Well, let's say this. There's gonna be a lot of scenarios that are gonna be thrown out after the season. Let's say Daniel Jones does an amazing job for us, even with a bad offensive line. I think that's where you have to tackle your weak position. Once you have an offensive line, you can do anything on that side of the ball. You can throw deep. You can give it to your guy in the backfield. He's going to go through the corners. That's what it is. If Daniel Jones can't perform this year with all the weapons that he has, then you got to replace him with a stud quarterback next season. And to be honest, this last draft was the draft to grab a stud quarterback. There were too many in there not to pass up, but the Giants never got a chance to. They were looking for a good receiver. They were looking for Devontae Smith, who just got grabbed by Philly again, Philly, and we grabbed a great guy at the 20th pick, getting some good draft stock for next year. So
Then this is do or die though for Daniel Jones. This is it.
absolutely, this is his last chance. I think David Gettleman's last chance too, and I think he knew that going into the draft. That's why he had to make so many risky plays.
So
And they worked out.
so as a fan, success is division title. It's division or bust for Dave Gettleman.
That's it. If he can't do it this season, especially with the weak division that we have, then they both got to go. Yeah, absolutely. I gotta say, my Giants, if they don't win the division, it's definitely going to be a bust for Gelman and for Daniel Jones. Their time is up in New York, and I think they had enough time to prove. But let's go to the other side of the stadium with your New York Jets and your number 2 overall pick, Zach Wilson. What is your mentality about your team? What is going on through your head?
I have no idea what to expect with them. I've been really racking my brain because I'm like 6 wins, 7 wins, 9 wins. Like I
Ooh,
have because
okay.
what we saw last year was so bad. Like it was like it was so bad that the amount of work they put into it with the new offense coming in. I mean, we saw what the Packers have done since LaFleur has taken up over there, and now we got his baby brother here. We got Robert Sala's defense, which has transformed the 49ers into a top 5 defense in the league year in the year.
Well, 2 years ago.
Exactly. Like they've loaded up through the draft. They loaded up in free agency. I have no idea what to expect because I saw the bare minimum. I saw, well, apparently NFL coaching is easy. Who knew? Last year it wasn't. That's what they said, though. So I have no idea what I'm going to see this year. I mean, for all I know, they could call, like, the plays could just be so much better that this team goes and wins 10 games. And I have no freaking clue because at the end of the day, I have never seen this team before. This is like a brand new team. I mean, I've seen Mekhi Becton dominate, and he's still there. I have not seen Zach Wilson yet. I haven't seen his new receivers. Elijah Moore is putting up headlines every single day out of rookie camp and OTAs and mini camp. I mean, the kid is all over the field. I have no idea what to expect. I have to see preseason. I have to see them play because right now there are just so many question marks on this team. And and not just on the field, I mean in the coaching staff as well. I just cannot wait for this first offensive drive because they're scripting these plays 6 months in advance. I cannot wait to see what these offensive coaches come up with because it's gonna answer everything.
Oh, I'm excited more than just the drive. Just the whole first game where it's Sam Darnold versus Zach Wilson in the first matchup of the season is just going to be the number one thing in the headlines coming up in this. It's going to be amazing to start off. And just to see if Sam Darnold was the answer or Zach Wilson after week one, you
It's
don't
going to
have
be
to think about it.
exciting. It's going to be very exciting. I'm more excited though just to see what a competent coach can do. Because I mean, even Todd Bowles was a okay coach, but like there were times where he needed to throw a challenge or call a timeout, and he was too busy talking to the defensive players on the sideline. Like he didn't do that. Then we had Adam Gase, who everybody knows is just should literally never have a job in football ever again.
The
I
only why he did was because Peyton Manning was as good as he was, and that's the only reason why he was in the league for this long.
if I find out he's interviewing for a job somewhere, I would drive to that business and protest and let them know why not. Like he is so bad. So right now, like I feel so optimistic, and I don't know if I should or shouldn't because the change could be so drastic. This could be a Jim Harbaugh taking the 49ers to the playoffs in his first season, going, you know what I mean, flipping the script.
Yeah.
This could be that dramatic flip that we've seen because they were so drastically bad last year and they have made so many drastic changes. Or this could be a slow build where they win 6 games and everyone heralds them for all the work they've done and they have a much improved year, but they're by far nowhere near where they need to be. I have no idea. They could make the Bills sweat at the end of the year, or they could be an afterthought. I have no clue what this team could do, and I think that's nerve wracking for a lot of people because if you're the Eagles, I'm sorry, not the Eagles. If you're the Panthers or the Broncos, the Falcons, and in these first few weeks where you aren't going to have a lot of tape on the Jets, you're walking into a big question mark. And like, I'd rather go in knowing what this team is going to do and like how good they are than walking into a young BYU quarterback who we have not seen play on the big stage and like hope he doesn't light it up. Like who knows what these kids are going to do?
Especially when you have 3 question mark teams in your division. Like you said, the Jets are a question mark, and definitely Miami. I don't even know what's going on over there anymore. But what you also have to look at is the Patriots. And I know what you're gonna say. Like they grabbed everyone in free agency. They spent money on all these good guys. But look who's still the quarterback. Cam Newton is still the quarterback of that team, and he doesn't look like he's the Cam Newton that went to the Super Bowl. He he's out of his prime. And then you have Mac Jones, who just came out of Alabama. You don't know what he can do coming out. Like I said, you have 3 question marks on that team, but as for what we know is the Bills are elite on both sides of the ball. Josh Allen's a monster. Stephon Diggs, top 3 receiver in the league right now. And if they don't run into the buzzsaw Patrick Mahomes Chiefs, they're in the Super Bowl. That's it to me. If they run into the Cleveland Browns there, which they should have won that game, then I think the Bills are in the Super Bowl.
Very likely. Although I do think Cleveland's defense would have had a much improved time a second time ago.
True.
You know what I mean? I think they would have figured some stuff out, which is also why I'm excited because I think Robert Saleh's defensive mindedness is going to be very interesting in this division. When you have now 4 young quarterbacks in this division, and it's going to be Josh Allen being the best right now. And seeing what Robert Saleh does against Josh Allen and all those weapons is going to be very, very interesting because like there are not a lot of teams that are right now are making them sweat. But once we've seen it before, we saw it with the Chiefs most recently. Once the armor is cracked and the weakness is exposed, you know what I mean? Like suddenly the shine has worn off and they're suddenly not as intimidating. Like, listen, the Chiefs still go on to win 13 games every year, 14 games every year, but they're not like that. For those first 5 or 6 weeks, they looked like a team that could walk on water. They were unbeatable.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden they came back down to earth a little bit. And now they're not as scary. They're still one of the best football teams around. Don't get me wrong. They're still basically a shoo-in for the Super Bowl, but they're not the monstars. You know what I mean? I think right now the Bills are trending towards that mythical, like once they walk in, you're like, oh man, those are the Bills. And it's just who's going to be the first one to crack that armor and say like, no.
And who's to
Bring
say
them back.
it can't be your Jets? Who's to say that?
Oh, me. It's not going to be the Jets. It's probably not going to be the Jets. I just hope that it happens well before, what is it, week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, week 9. Yeah, if someone could crack it before week 9, I'd really appreciate it.
And then give some Robert Saleh some nice tape that he can review all week for him.
Exactly. That's really what I'm hoping for is that listen, the Jets were like when you have SNL skits made of about making fun of you and your fan base and like the NFL, CBS and Fox NFL like had a commercial for like Jet depression pill. Like low blow, guys. Like when the Cleveland Browns lost, we're 0-13, 0-26. You guys cherried them and like gave them Bud Light and shit. Like
Yeah.
I can't get that. I have to get made fun of on national TV. But whatever. I hope that Robert Saleh just brings the noise, all gas. We just hit it ground running and just like show everybody what's up. I really hope so.
You can't be as worse as last season, man.
No.
That's all I could say. I mean, you can lose all the games instead of one, but I digress.
Yeah, so I'm also excited for we do have a Jet Giant preseason game.
That's right, we
Maybe
do.
we should do a live report from there. That would be pretty fun.
I'm down for that.
Preseason game.
I'll be there for that.
Mike, I think this is going to be a very fun season of football. I think that things have been shaken up, especially now Julio Jones going to the Titans. And the addition of a 17th game, I think, is going to make for a lot of fun times for these fans. I mean, are you worried about players resting at all, though, with the 17th game?
I'm worried about just player injuries in general. Just look at what happened with a shortened preseason last year. Now you're going to add another game. Sorry, I just saw your water bottle. I started laughing a little bit.
Invisible.
Look at that. That's amazing, dude.
Invisible. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, it's.
But yeah, sorry.
Sorry about that.
I'm back. You're good. What were we talking about again?
Well, I was saying like the addition of a 17th game and like the
Yeah,
injuries from that.
Yeah. So I'm back. So yeah, injuries to me are just what I'm really worried about, especially with this extra game. Now people are stressing themselves even more just to make the final spot and coming around playoff season. So to me, I think it's great for the fan bases and definitely just the teams itself. But for the players wise, I think it hurts a little bit, especially when you're not going to get especially when they're asking for all this money and all these holdouts already happening with the regular schedule. It's going to be tough for the players to commit to this, but we'll see what happens.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And I think we've hit on a lot in the football today. So I'm just going to leave. I want to get what is the number one matchup you're looking forward to this NFL season? It can be player, team, player, anything you got for me.
You know what? I am excited, not just because I'm a Giants fan. I want to see Giants Phillies twice this season, just because of all the things that have happened in just the past couple of months. You know, they knock us out of the playoffs because they take out their starter, and then they trade up one spot just to take Devontae Smith from us. I think there's going to be some bad blood between us, which there already is, but I think it's going to escalate some more, and it's going to lead to some interesting matchups coming up.
Very nice.
What about you, man? What are you excited for?
So it's actually a surprising game, and I'm just looking through the schedule for the Jets because it is a Jets matchup for me, and it's Jets versus Colts. It's an 8:20 game. It's a national game. Very excited for it on November 4th. And I think this is going to be a moment because listen, who is it now on the Colts? Is it Carson Wentz now? Yeah. Carson Wentz with Frank Reich. They feel like they have a very solid team over there with a lot of talent.
Jonathan Taylor.
You know, Jonathan Taylor, DeForest Buckner's on the line, I believe now. Michael Pittman Jr. catching passes out there. This is a team that could make a lot of noise, and I feel like on a big stage, this could be the game where the Jets make a big statement about who they are. The rest of the games, I mean, Jets in London, the Falcons at 9:30 in the morning, like they're not in prime time a lot. This is pretty much the only game right now they have in prime time. So I think this could be the moment. I think they get up for this game, and I think they make a big statement on this nationally televised game, and they show everyone it's not the same old Jets. And I keep an eye on this game for guys like Carl Lawson, Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, and Michael Carter, specifically the running back, because there are two Michael Carters, which I absolutely love. The running back out of, I believe it's UNC. So Yeah, November 4th, Jets Colts, I think is going to be a huge point in the Jets season.
Awesome, dude. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch, man. I've been ready for the NFL season since after the Super Bowl, man. Football is my favorite, and I cannot wait for the season to start.
Just about 2 months till the first preseason game. So we are there. August 14th, Jets and Giants is the first preseason game. And then the season starts about a month after that. So we are there. We're getting there quick, man.
Yep, get in there,
Getting
man.
there quick.
Look, it'll be there.
So thank you guys. If you guys made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you guys so much. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below and the little notification bell so you don't miss any more videos. Give it a like, a thumbs up if you appreciate it and enjoy what we talked about. I'm Michael Matalavage, Nicholas Romeo from the Romeo Report. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, my guy.
Thank you for having me, man. It was a privilege, man. Awesome time.
I appreciate it, guys. Go make sure you follow our social media down in the description, and thank you for watching.